Welcome to Wellness Radio with Dr. Jeanette-Gallagher as your host. Her show discusses topics of health, wellness, and spirituality, and is about discovering your place in this great universe, from your cells to the cosmos. Along with her guest, in casual conversation, she strives to ask the difficult questions that may be holding you back from a vibrant life, and shares new ideas that may inspire you to make a change in your life that you only can see in your dreams. And now, here is Dr. Jeanette-Gallagher.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Radio. This is Dr. Jeanette-Gallagher, and it's a pleasure to have you with us here this evening. Tonight, we are going to be talking about our life journey. When we hit a wall, when we fall over a cliff, when things happen to us, when our life changes, and those times when we say, I wasn't ready for this. It's too soon. It's too hard. My heart's going to break. What's going to happen when our heart breaks, our body shakes and shimmies, and everything changes in our world, and we no longer sometimes even recognize ourselves? We're not sure what tomorrow will bring, nor do we even know how we will get there. That's a time when we totally put everything and always our trust in God. Our trust in God is really the only thing that's going to be able to get us from one breath to the next. Today, my guest is Ms.Kim Blackwell. Her book is My Walk with God, Continues Life After Stroke. And what we'll be talking about today is her inspirational journey of her life, things that have happened to her, but also to share with others how you can feel that inspiration in your own life, in your own story, and in your own walk with God. Ms. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Dr. Jeanette, thanks for inviting me. Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you because I think sometimes, as we become elders, we don't share our stories, our journeys, and our thoughts inside. And I love that you've been starting to write books about your life journey, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Well, what made you want to be able to write that book?
Dr. Jeanette, it was actually, it was a stroke, and my brother, he suggested, I had a cable television show. I was in the art business, ran a company, and I was going to come back after I recovered to have a guest on my show talking about stroke and things of that nature. But my brother suggested that I could help more people if I wrote a book. I had no skills, so no desire. And God, it's all God. He just gave me everything. I just told everything I wanted to say, and that's what encouraged me to do that. I wanted to share my story and to help others.
You know what I think is so wonderful about it is that, I too, I'm, almost 70, and I've heard that over so many decades. Where's your book? Where's your book? And I'm like, I didn't put it down on a piece of paper. It's in words, and it's on the radio show. Just push the button and listen. Don't you think sometimes we want to be able to say, as we age, that there are stories in our life to be able to help guide others?
I certainly do.
Yeah, because I think your story has a lot of things that we could share. Let's talk about your stroke for a second, because when people have a stroke, they say, oh, my life is ending. And we're going, oh, and you know what I say to them? Oh, my goodness, you just cleaned out your closet, and you're just going to need a different story. Keep moving on. I think we get so stuck in the idea that our outside self, or some of us, is broken off. How did stroke appear to you?
Oh, for me, Dr. Jeanette, I was very shocked because I thought I was pretty healthy. I worked out 3 times a week, and I ate good, and I guess not so good, but I visited my doctors regularly. So I was kind of surprised that when I had the stroke, and I was diagnosed the year before with high blood pressure. And so I was dealing with that, medication. So when I had the stroke, I was really very surprised, and I was in I was in a situation where I had the worst headache that I've ever had in my life. It happened in the middle of the night, so I was not headache prone, and so that was really horrible, the worst headache. So, and then I wouldn't get to the hospital until 10 hours later because I was at a travel meeting. I was doing everything that I did. So the goal when I got to the hospital and I was told that I had 2 strokes on the table, so it was just everything was just so unbelievable. But I knew one thing. I knew that I wanted to get better, and I had the will to do that and motivation, and I knew God would help me through.
Just as you're saying that, and just as you share your story, Ms. Kim, I think it's so vitally important that we sit back, close our eyes, and just even listen to your words and your inspiration. Because what I heard in what you said was you had your life all going on and you thought you had control. And God said, whoops, who has control here? Let me show you. Right?
Yeah. So well put, Dr. Jeanette. So well put.
Yeah.
Oh, my. But he said, I'm not finished with you. Actually, this is what you were meant. I had for you all along.
Yes,
that's what God said.
Right, because don't you think sometimes we take our life and we say we're doing all the, quote, the right things and everything we're supposed to do. I know for myself, I have an acquaintance, that person eats the most god-awful food, fried chicken and rice every day, hamburgers and french fries for the next meal, and, and the drink is sweet tea with how much ever sugar it can take. And the person just keeps going along their merry way, and I'm going, oh, my goodness. And I'm sitting here, and I'm eating my greens. I'm not eating meats. I'm doing all the right things, living that Birkenstock kind of earthy life, and my health is not what it should be. But yet, are we both listening to God, or are we both still saying we have control?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think in essence we can all hit our own proverbial walls. We might just not even notice them. So would you think when you hit the wall, so to speak, it was God just saying, oh, you just got off the exit too early, or maybe I have another journey for you? How might that play out?
I think he was saying, quite frankly, I have another journey for you. And what you're doing is good, but I have something else that's going to be more powerful, and it's going to help you bring people into my world. So I'm going to show you by giving you a miraculous recovery, because I should not have survived according to 3 neurologists. So I'm going to make you recover so you can be able to tell everyone what I've done and who I am, the God of all things, and He will heal you, and I will give you a testimony that no one will ever forget.
Yes. And we all know that many people do not survive stroke. Some are very, as their words would say, damaged by it, but I would say just transitioned by it. And I think everyone has a story around the word. And it kind of really freezes people in their tracks. They go running from it to not have it happen. Do you think that perhaps in all of these stories, many people will say, it's still what God had for me? So in other words, if you had a stroke and God took your life, it's what God had planned for you for right now, and it's okay. If you can no longer speak, then perhaps that was a choice and a path in which God wants you on for today. It's just how we look at our new way of living. What is our perception of today? Isn't that what you're talking about, your perspective today?
Yes. I was before I left the hospital, they'd taken my driver's license. So I said to my doctor, I said, well, I haven't even gone through therapy. Well, you won't be driving anymore. I'm like, goodness sake. So, and I had peripheral vision problems. And so I was like, God, I haven't even gone through therapy, you know. So, so that was very heartbreaking. I'm not sure. So when I did go through therapy, I had I lost my peripheral vision. And I had I couldn't. In the end, I could not drive because I could not get it back to the level that it was supposed to be, 90%. But my doctor was told my mother she thinks she's doing better when she is. So I was like, okay, thank you. But so when I got back to California, I couldn't drive, I couldn't work. I lost my independence. I had to ask myself, who am I now? But I was determined to get my life back because I knew it wasn't the end. You know, it's not the end. Yeah. It was just the beginning.
You know, as I'm listening to that part of your story, I'm saying, she was always giving and going and doing, and now it was your time to receive. I think that's so vitally important. Almost everybody, most people don't recognize that in their life, is that they're always going, doing. So in other words, always pushing out, but they don't receive help from another person, receive unconditional love from someone they never knew, receive a gift of food from someone who doesn't even know how to cook, or just receive a hug from someone in an elevator. So isn't that by receiving, you're just showing God's love through yourself?
Yes, Dr. Jeanette. And it takes I tell people one of the things in successful recovery, you have to accept your life as it is now. And what you're saying is receiving, what I'm doing now. You have to accept that because it's hard to accept that, you know, and sit down and quiet yourself and really, because by the time I got all my resources in place from my transportation and income and things of that nature, you know, you're not in control. You just have to sit back and you made it happen. God made it happen. So I'm in a good place now, you know, and life is going on.
Yeah. Yes, it definitely takes a while after you have, an experience that sets you back, changes your road, or maybe strips you of all that you thought, you needed. And sometimes you say, well, you know what? Did I really need to be doing all of that stuff? Today, I did it yesterday, but today it's a different chapter that I'm writing. Just as you share in your book that you've written a book before, it's a different chapter I'm writing today. Maybe?
Yes. Yes. Life after stroke is a different chapter. Yes.
Yes. I think also, too, the idea is that let's talk about your male companion, because when you talk about having another loved one in your life, many times people will say, but I'm damaged goods, I'm broken, I'm shattered. I can't have another person in my life because I'm not whole. Might we all experience that as we age? Those questions or thoughts of, well, I'm not as fast. I can't run as fast. I can't cook as well. I get up in the morning all the time and I can't sleep too long. Or I'm just not as hearing as well as other people might notice. So as we start to have those things happen to our essence, to our body, to our soul, do you think that perhaps sometimes we feel a little jaded and tenuous about engaging with others?
I would say, for myself, I was concerned about, my physical. The best thing about me was you couldn't really tell that I had a stroke. My left hand was the only thing that didn't really come back. So when people look at me, they don't really see that I had one. So with my friend, I was concerned that he would not understand what needed if I had one again. I needed to have someone who understood me and would be there for me, and to if anything helped. So the next year I had a seizure. So it was like, God, is anything else going to happen? So I needed someone in my life who would understand me and be there for me. And I prayed that it took 12 years for God to bring him to me, because I was married for 19 years, and 12 years later, God brought the man I was supposed to be with, who was an artist and things like that. So he understood me, and I was so grateful, so grateful.
Yes, because I think sometimes we say, God, I need someone here in human form to walk alongside of me. We always know that God is with us, but we need a human that can help pick us up or dial the phone, or get us to where we need to be. So we're looking for that kind of God's companion that he's sending in his place. Isn't that what you found?
Yes, I did. I certainly did. Michael was he was that and everything else. We had it was so interesting. God is so wonderful because Michael and I, he was one of my clients, so we knew each other for many, many years. But it was not time for us to be together. So God was in charge of that whole thing. So in 2008, when I had my stroke, Michael had problems in his business. So when we got together in 2011, everybody was, on track again, at least, back on, as much as they could be. He was financially straight, and I was physically okay, so he was able to take care of me. So it was so, that's a wonderful thing, Wonderful.
Yes. But also, too, you ended up being his companion to be a walk alongside of him when he needed you the most, too.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I think we always want to say, well, I need, and it's all about self and being selfish, when perhaps your need for bringing him to you was God's gift of love, and you knew that because you were needed to, again, walk someone within that love. I think sometimes we don't step back and look at the bigger picture. Instead, we want to be able to just see, how when you get a gift, you say, oh, well, this isn't the right gift, but you got a beautiful gift of unconditional love. That's what you were giving and sharing. Maybe?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Which is what God is all about. So he sent that to me, so it was so wonderful. That's why it was such a wonderful experience. And I was so happy to be able to have that time together with him, fully. It was we had 8 years together, and then, his sickness. I was grateful.
Because he was probably praying the same thing. God, have somebody walk alongside me because I might need it, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes.
Yeah. I see so many elders, that are so closed off. I myself am almost 70. They're closed off and they just don't want to. They say, I'm not going to do it because. And I think if we could just say, I'm going to do it and trust instead, how freeing that might be, how more open we might become. Because things can't get, I could be standing there knocking at the door and you're like, well, you didn't come in the right way, or you didn't knock loud enough, I can't hear you. So the idea is that when we are ready to receive, it will show. But we need to open the door. Do you think you had to open the door many times in your life?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. I think opening the door, I opened the door, God opened the door for me when I met my husband in college. He was from Philadelphia, but I went to school in Pittsburgh, so we met in college at Duquesne University. He happened to be from Pittsburgh, so he happened to be from Philadelphia. So we connected, so I ended up here because he had a sister out here when we graduated. So God, in addition to, I got accepted for undergrad at UCLA, but I couldn't come because my parents couldn't afford to send me here. So it was all God working his way to get me here to this place and this location, and I've become so much more than I would ever have become, well before my stroke. I'm speaking of a person who took risks and opened business. I've done so much, it came so much more than I thought I would ever become if I stayed in Philadelphia. So I think he was guiding me all the way, and I was stepping through the doors that he was opening, Dr. Jeanette. I stepped through them.
Also, too, don't you think, Ms. Kim, if we can look back at our life, we see the gifts that we were given? I know for myself, I was working as a dental hygienist for like 20 years, and I saw so many thousands and thousands of patients, and I said, and someone would say to me, oh, well, about my job, and I said, no, it wasn't my job. It was my mission. I was supposed to look in the eyes of every single soul, and that's what I did. So I didn't look at it as my job. I looked at it as my mission to do something differently. Do you think maybe you had that along the way in your life, and can you share some of those thoughts of when that might have been?
My mission. I agree with that. My mission. I would say when I ran an art gallery, and I loved art. That's one of the things I love. But I saw that there were African American artists who were not getting the exposure that they needed. So I saw the need there, and I saw that I could do something about it. So I opened up a gallery, and I marketed and distributed artwork for them across the West Coast. So that's where I educated everyone about their artwork, and I helped them. So that's what I started. That's what I think I really saw an opening of myself.
Yes.
In giving and caring for others,
But also, too, I think you were there to inspire about creativity. In other words,
yes.
You knew from the beginning that there's other things out there. You weren't stuck in a life that was closed down with ideas and beliefs. I mean, people who are in the art world or who trust God or wait for the perfect timing, they're truly creative people. Isn't that what your life was about?
Yes. And the way you put it, Dr. Jeanette, I'm probably having a difficult word to describe it, but you're saying it exactly simpler. Yes, I would say so. Thank you. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, because I can feel it, and that's what we're here to share today, Ms. Kim, is how we can feel it in your words and in your story. Because you could feel, when you walk into an art gallery, when you walk in to touch another person, when you hear their story, or you hear what their trials and tribulations and obstacles are, it's all about feeling something. It's about being awake to life, and when people have things that really happen to them, they stop being awakened to the life process. But you were in tune with that awakened life process. Maybe?
Yes. I think determination and perseverance. I just was not, going to give up, so much more to do.
Yes, absolutely. Do you think, Ms. Kim, that your book would be a great asset to any elder, I would say, to be able to just, perhaps when you share your story just as you are now, it triggers something in others to be able to say, can I share my secret or my story? Can I share it so you can listen? Because sometimes people don't want to listen to others' stories. Your book is short, it's concise, it's inspiring, but it's not pushing something down another person. You're just sharing with love and grace. But we want others to be able to share their stories with love and grace. So your book is a vehicle to absolutely open their door?
Yes, I would agree with that, Dr. Jeanette. And when I get opportunities, and they do, I do see that. Feel free. It's just not if you had a stroke. These things you need to have if you whatever challenges you come in across in life. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It all applies. So that's why my first book was called From Stroke to Recovery, My Walk with God, A Guide to Recovery. Because the things that I had to regain for things that everybody needs. If you lose a job, if you lose this, so it's for everyone. And I hope my story would inspire others, to want to work harder and to get their life back on track.
Yes, I really think so. And I would hope, as we have shared with the listeners over time, purchase a few of your books, Ms. Kim, and when you go out and you're in a coffee shop, just leave it on the table and just write like a little note on the inside to the finder. Please read, feel the love, and share the story onward, and pass it on. Sometimes we want to pass these books on to other people, or you can leave it off at you could be reading in a doctor's office, set it down on the table, and on the inside, just leave a sticky note that says, please be so loved, and pass it on. And that's a
beautiful,
wonderful gift. Don't you think we're giving to the universe?
Yes, beautiful, Dr. Jeanette. What a wonderful idea. Definitely. I will do that. Wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely wonderful, because to be able to use a short book like this. Sometimes people, they get so tied up with these really big books, and they're like, they read a couple of pages and they're like, I'm done. But yours is so beautifully written, and, inspiration comes in a little box. You feel it, and you move through it. And I think that's the goal of your book, is to feel God's love and to say thank you. So I think if we can start to share the process, how do we become inspired? How do we connect with God? And how do we be thankful for our life? This is what it's all about. Can you share what your thoughts on that, on how, how simple that might be, but also how you can do it, right?
Exactly. The storytelling, and giving, I think, you get an elevator, you need to get a quick minute message out what your book is about and things of that nature. But we can do it that way, and they're going to, just giving them out, and just sharing my story as quickly as I can, And my walk with God continues, life after stroke. It's so about just what God has allowed me to be able to do, and then appreciating my life, just sharing that, and being so thankful and grateful for every moment in time.
Yes, I think that is so true. And you also share about your pet in the book. I think that's very important, because as we age, we feel like our loved ones are falling away. Loss of a husband, loss of our health, loss of another person that we find that we care for, loss of a pet. And we kind of stand up and we go, now what? Loss of independence. So your book shares a lot of your losses, but you don't come away angry, depressed, sad, in grief. You come across as being inspired, given some new breath of, fresh life. Is that maybe what you hope to share?
Oh, yes. Yes. I'm so glad you received it. Yes, that's exactly what I want to share. Exactly, Dr. Jeanette. Exactly. Because there is good in all of that. He always says, something good will always come out of something. And it was so much good out of my stroke, and I wanted to share that and let people see the good, and how you can just keep moving forward if you just trust in Him, and it's a lifestyle. My faith walk is a lifestyle, and I find that since I accepted that, and I see it as that, and I live like that, it allows you to see things from a different perspective, Dr. Jeanette.
Oh, it sure does. Ms. Kim, I had this saying that I have on my website and other places, and it'll be the title of my next book, and it says, breathe. Everything else is lagniappe. Do you know the word lagniappe, right? Lagniappe means a gift, something extra. Everything else is a gift. I mean, God gives us the breath of life, and everything else that we get is a gift. But we seem to think that we deserve it, that we have to have it, and all of this other stuff. And how dare you take it away from me? Boy, we need to get back and look at the correct picture maybe, right?
Yes. It is all a gift. Yeah. It is all a gift.
My daughter works in the emergency room, and, she says, every breath, nothing else is promised to you, So the answer is just to breathe into the moment, and that's what you're sharing with others is, regardless of our story, we just need to breathe into the moment, perhaps?
Yes. Oh, my. Yes. You just don't know when that'll be your last moment. You know what I'm saying? You said exactly right. You have to take each moment and appreciate it and accept that and live for the moment and enjoy life. Enjoy life.
Yeah. So I'll ask you the best question ever, Miss Kim. Do you still say, yes, I had a stroke and I ate all the right things, I did all the right things? How much sugar are you eating every day? Sometimes I think that we have to enjoy what shows up at our plate. In other words, I'd love to have a piece of cake today because I'm going to love life today. Maybe?
Oh, Dr. Jeanette, that's so good. What I do is I cook my own food, so I can control my salt. That's what I do. I enjoy cooking more now than I did even when I was married before. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy cooking now, but I was just at the Cheesecake Factory the other day, Dr. Jeanette, and I had a cheesecake. I went for it. So, and I had chicken and biscuit. So
that's
yes,
right.
I am enjoying. I say everything in moderation. So you have to. I do as much as I can. When I can control the food that I'm cooking, that's one thing. But if I want something else,
that's right.
With that as well. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, you know what, Miss Kim? I live here in New Orleans in the Deep South for decades, and I always thought it as, it's great to have fried chicken and rice, and I can't wait to have some red beans later or whatever. But the answer is, I don't need a bucket full of red beans. I just need a couple of forks and I'm good to go. Or on fried chicken, just one piece I think is pretty good. I don't need 5. Don't you think sometimes, just as you said, in moderation, but it's also to enjoy the gifts of abundance of food, right?
Yes. When I got out of the hospital, they 3 meals a day. And so I just kept that as a mantra. And my mother was like, I said, I eat. He said, you eat 3 meals a day? I said, yes. My mother says I got out of that hospital, I make sure I eat 3 meals a day. Before.
That's right.
It wasn't important at that time. Before it was like, and it's like, really? And my mother's like, you do? I said, yeah, Mom. Ever since I got out of the hospital. She said, are you hungry? I said, yes, I don't eat if I'm not hungry. But
right. That's right.
That was new.
That's right, because I think sometimes we take out all the stuff we think we have to do to be or to whatever prove ourselves, and we just say, I'm just going to enjoy. I'm going to take a nap. If I need 2 naps today, so be it. If I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, so be it. Or if I maybe have, just as I did last night, I had French toast for dinner, so be it. I think the idea is to be able to enjoy everything that comes your way, and that's the gift of your stories, yes?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Very well said, Dr. Jeanette. Very well said.
Well, Ms. Kim, it was such a pleasure to have you with us here to talk about your inspirational journey. I think many times people will say, but I've been having a really hard life. I'll say, awesome. I'm so glad you had a hard life. Can you tell me the stories? And they're like, what? And I said, but we can let go of some of the anger and the shame. How about that? And we can say, our life was awesome. Right?
That's right. Exactly. As long as you're still here, life is awesome. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. Ms. Kim, how can the listeners find out how to be able to find your books?
They can go to arthurkimblackwell.com. arthurkimblackwell.com.
Very good. Well, it was such a pleasure to have you with us today to inspire us. I'm so glad to have you to walk along this journey. And as we say, close your eyes, and I'm walking right alongside you. So thank you so much for walking with us today.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Jeanette.
Such a pleasure. If you'd like to find out more information about Ms. Kim Blackwell, again, her book is My Walk with God Continues, Life After Stroke. Please do click on the link on the bottom of today's show page to go to her website for more information. And please purchase several of these books. Share them, give them out, pass them on. You could even just donate them to a nursing home, assisted living, maybe even to a doctor's office. Everyone loves to have the words of inspiration and know that there is life. Whatever hits you in the face today, there is still life, because life is breath, and it's God-given. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Dr. Jeanette-Gallagher. Until tomorrow, have a great day.
Today we discussed many life-changing concepts. Who do you turn to, and how do you know what is best when faced with a health crisis? Dr. Jeanette is a patient advocate. She listens to the patient, the doctors, and the family, clarifies the health issues and concerns, then helps the patient make the best choices going forward. If you would like help implementing change into your life and health, we can talk and see where you are stuck and how to improve the quality of your life. Check the link on the bottom of today's show page or visit dr.jeanette-gallagher.com to schedule a phone appointment today.